Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I'll skip that. Oh god, I feel like I'm going so slowly all of a sudden.
Ortichar, traveler.
Why would the button eye be here? I wouldn't worry about that.
Long life, my friend.
I'm getting reports the button eye have started leaving their bloom and attacking wandering travelers. Most unusual. We've already dispatched a number of Rengari. A caravan from Azeroth passed through recently.
Safe journeys.
Of course there's just a straight-up caravan from Azeroth. Jesus Christ. The caravan was led by a woman who looked like a wolf? I admit, I'm still getting used to Azerothians. They left just a few minutes ago. Yep, it's Fiona, Gidwin, and Terranar. Again. Okay, guys. Blizzard. Listen to me. I like these characters. This is not the time for this. You cannot have the mostly humorous, like, side squad showing up in the Death Planet when we're supposed to be, like, locked away from all assets and resources. Like, they're just... They brought their whole caravan and their horses through. How did you even get this thing through the portal? Now, this makes more sense if this was Outland. There's a lot of that. I'll be pointing out several of these as we go. Okay, so I want that. So let's grab... Let's grab that. That should give me full access. Listen, Nessingwary would never be in Warlords.
How may I help you? Cheerio.
Commander, glad to see you. We have a situation here.
Buying and selling is in my blood.
Gidwin was attacked by one of those plant creatures. By the looks of it, he's suffering from some kind of paralysis. I mean, kinda, yeah, Blade Traval. It's gonna show up a lot.
Anytime.
Okay, so let's go ahead and try and save poor Gidwin here from his own stupidity. Being on a planet in the past. Why are you even here? Oh god, imagine if their corpses didn't fall when they died. Come on, group up. There you go. Good boy. Yeah, we could have had forgery, but no. Don't ask what the giant fleshy things are. Nope. Nope. Don't think about it. Don't think about it. Oh god, that would actually be funny. Yasha's like, wait, what are you doing here? Yeah, we went from satisfactory to that. Oh god. I hope they never do this, but they probably will someday. What if we ever get a builder game that's actually flesh-based, right? Organotech. I hope not. Yeah, like Tyranids or Zerg, if you want to go that route with it. Or yeah, the demons from Doom. You get it. There's a lot of things you can do with that. Guys, I've got a new entry for the veto list. Anyway, someone asked earlier, I think it was Ross, if I would consider oxygen not included, and more about logistics or about building. What in the world? It's kind of half and half, but actually, if anything, I would say oxygen not included kind of leans more towards physicsing. So much of oxygen not included is about fluid, gas, heat, physics, and managing those. And the whole thing is extremely unfun because of power. But regardless of that, no, we're not doing a builder game as a Zerg hive. Protoss, sure. Terran, I'm with you. Zerg, nah, get out of here. Although, actually now I'm contesting my own statement here. Hang on, hang on. Hear me out, hear me out. You don't build hives as the Zerg. You build units. And so instead of, like, constructing, you know, items in order to build buildings, which is what most builder games are about, you're sequencing different strands and connecting them and processing them down. Same basic gameplay loop. Yeah, like, think Spore, but actually good, and you've got the idea.
I offer service with a smile.
I'm kidding. That wouldn't be like Spore at all. It really would be like Satisfactory. It would just be building units instead.
A coin spent here is a coin for Gilneas. I run a stand-up business here. Spread the good word, eh?
By the way, you may or may not have even noticed, but the reason I haven't read most of these quests out loud is there is no justification for her being here.
Open for business. The only honest merchant's a Gilnean merchant.
So you remember how they made fun of these quests back in Pandaria? Well, we're in the first zone of warlords and they're already doing them again. Toxic, huh? Venom. Okay. Something that wriggles? Okay. Glow. Oh, 100%, Ross. Star Trek and Star Wars both are kind of, like, custom built for that kind of a builder game. I am shocked we've never seen them. Builder games are, of course, a niche of a niche, so I guess that makes sense. But still, you cannot tell me that niche does not have a player base. You can't tell me it wouldn't work. Here you go, Gidwin. Have a drink. I mean, hypothetically, no, J. Palmer. But then, like, they would bullcrap some solution and then they'd win. And that's probably what would happen. Why is my tie so offset today? God. I've been doing that all day. Here. This round shirt I got.
What do you offer?
It's actually more uncomfortable than my usual shirts. I don't think I'm going to wear this after Warlords. Gidwin's looking much better. Thank you. We have just enough elixirs to help the others.
What? No tip?
There are others from the caravan who are missing. My guess is they were taken by the bot knight.
Spread the good word, eh?
Okay. Why are you here?
We will persevere.
Can't believe the Drowned have lived alongside these horrible monsters for so long. Maybe we should show these beasts what happens when you mess with an Azerothian. You...
Death to all who oppose us.
We're out of options. I'm going to the Bloom to find out what's going on. Good luck, mage.
Be well.
Okay.
Ah, potential customer.
This sitting around's horrible for business. I gotta find a way to recoup my profits. Those Draenei females are obsessed with the way their horns look. I overheard one of them talking about that root that supposedly reduces horn shedding. I bet I could sell that root for a nice profit.
Keep it real.
Wait, I can reduce how much my horn sheds? Tell me more. I mean,
Have you any news?
The bot and I are infecting the local river beast with some kind of flesh-eating plant. I fear this infection could spread to our people. No! The bot and I don't spread infection. That's not what their entire shtick is. Anyways, here's the real question. If we were to do like a Star Trek builder, what specifically would it be? Like, what direction do you take that? No, J-Bomber. I have my thought, but I'd love to hear your thoughts first. Like I mentioned, over in, say, a Zerg builder, you're building units, right? I need this sequence and this string, which comes from this animal and this plant, and at that point, like, the local fauna become the resources that you mine and harvest, right? Hollinger Outpost Builder? Very good pick. Not actually what I was picking, but that's a solid one. I like it. Stations. Ooh, a station builder. Now that sounds cool. There's a station builder game I've been very, well, I was very excited for. Like, 3 years ago when they first announced it. It's still not out. Can't remember the name of it. Hang on, let me check my wish list on Steam. Creating a new Romulus. So, a bit of terraforming in there, too. We've had terraforming games. Like Puraspera, I believe, is one. And I know, Building Mars, I think is the name of it, is one, too. I feel like there's another one. Hang on, wish list. I actually have a lot of builder games on my wish list, so give me a minute. I also keep track of games for review on here to see when they go on sale. Here it is. It's called Starmancer. Hill Early Access. Jesus Christ. Mixed reviews. Yeah. That's actually pretty normal for an early access game. Surviving Mars. That was it. No, I didn't know there was a grab button, Zeiss. I need to rebind that because I hate using my middle mouse button. But it's good to know that it's there. Final Factory? Well, I don't know. I was going to wait for Final Factory 6 myself. I hear that's going to be the best one. Not the most popular. That's Final Factory 7. But, you know. This looks a lot like a Spacebound Factorio. It's even 2D top-down. But the combat looks more interesting than Factorio, because Factorio was almost entirely a turret-based combat. Like, I know you can run around with guns, but let's be honest, you're mostly a walking turret. Oh no, just the females, Lord Harriman, 100%. You know what, that's a good point, Blizzard. No, I understand that completely. That's kind of how I am about some of the other more popular ones, like Final Factory 10. Like, I love Final Factory 10, except when it's irritating the snot out of me. Oh my god, a base builder in FF6 after the World of Ruin. I weep for a game that will never be. Actually, it's funny you say that, Ross. Whoa! Hang on, let me talk about that in a second.
Let us speak.
Huh? Oh, I fell asleep again. These slumber blooms are nothing but trouble. One second I'm fighting botany, the next I'm dreaming I'm an elk dancing with river beasts. We should really do things.
Be brave. You are not alone.
Oh no! So it is funny you say that, Ross. How many of you are familiar with a game called Europa Universalis 4? Now, I happen to be a pretty big fan of that game. It's no Stellaris, but it's still, as of this very moment, still probably one of my favorite grand strategy games. And there's so much to it, and so many layers, and they're still developing it, and blah, 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 blah. But there's one huge flaw with that game, in my opinion. A flaw so huge that I've spent considerable time processing on how I would fix it. Now, the solution I came up with is effectively impossible. It would only work in a massive resources environment. However, hear me out for a second. So the flaw is, the game's mostly about war. When you are not at war, what you're mostly doing is sitting there waiting for your resources and stats to recover from the whatever war you just left, so that you can then declare the next war. A huge amount of the game is pushed forward by conflict, and that makes sense. It is a strategy game, a grand strategy game after all. But the point is, in terms of literal minute-to-minute gameplay, it means there's a huge swath of not playing the game. Because one of the safest and smartest things to do is to just sit back, crank the speed up, and let your empire recover from whatever war you just waged, right? So the theory I came up with was, what if there was a builder game in between? Something else you could do with all that time and resources and the player just sitting there in between wars. Now, to keep this in the realm of sanity, what would probably happen is it would be a builder game for, like, a city. Most likely your capital city. But you get the idea, right? It's like, okay, here's the stats of the Empire. Chunk, let's switch down to city mode and start building up the city. And just have a straight-up builder for the city. How in-depth you go with that, well, that's up to you. Because, again, just having a double-genre game like that is already kind of crazy. Okay there, buddy? Okay, good. Yeah, exactly, Bragwin. There's a lot of things they could do with that, and I think that is possible. I have seen multi-genre games, and I've seen multi-genre games that are good. However, in the interest of fairness, they are rare for a reason. Because you are functionally making two games. Still, I think that would be incredibly awesome. But then again, I'm a loser who loves strategy and building. Here's one for y'all. I'm going to ask you two questions, okay? By the way, you probably don't recognize these guys. These are all the guys from Eastern Plaguelands. We're all here. The whole caravan's here. I don't know why the Argent Dawn is here. In Draenor, in the past. Sorry. It's just... makes more sense if it's Outland. Dating sim and killing giant robots. Am I close? You okay there, buddy?
Warm wishes to you.
Glad you made it. I could use your help.
May your days be
This is
long.
bad. The Genosaur is sprouting in the bloom. This is the first reported case of a Genosaur being born in over 300 years. No wonder the bot and I have been acting so crazy. They're bringing back bodies to fertilize that monstrosity. We have to kill it before it gets any larger.
Be kind to those less fortunate.
Okay. I like killing things. Visual novel and RTS. Okay, I didn't guess either of those correctly. Oh, I know, Lord Hermon. It's a terrible idea, which is exactly why I love it so much. if I might be so bold, and I mean this with sincerity, I kind of wish we had more support for niche games, because frankly, niche games are where it's at, you know? How many people would actually like that game, Lord Hermon? Very, very few. Like you say, you'd cut your audience in half. So it would not make a lot of money. What it would do is it would make the people who actually like that particular niche a lot happier. Quite literally be making the world a better place. And in my opinion, that's kind of what games are here to do.
The Naru have not forgotten us.
God, I'm still replacing white gear. Yeah, happiness over profit. Exactly. So, for those of you who do not like builder games in chat, is there a setting or franchise where if there was a builder game in that franchise, you would get interested because it's that franchise, because something about that clicks with you a little bit, you know? Yeah, something like Star Trek. Because I haven't given you my answer for what kind of builder game I'd make in Trek. I'd make a shipbuilder. No, not like what you saw in Starfield. I'd make a shipbuilder. Like a no-really shipbuilder. You'd be in charge of lines of production, processing. You want 3 extra... yeah, exactly, shipbuilder. Lol, by the way. You want 3 extra torpedo tubes? Well, that means you need to actually make those torpedoes, and you need to make a place for those torpedoes to be held. So you've got to construct the torpedo bay, and then you've got to construct the production line that builds the torpedo tubes. And that's probably going to be a lot of moving parts in order to make a torpedo tube and the torpedoes themselves. And then you have to start thinking about, okay, how many can we fit? You want 3 torpedo tubes. Do they all feed from the same bay? Do they all have the same ammo belt, relatively speaking? Or do you have 3 separate ammo belts? How large do you make them? What space do you decide to push out in order to make room for those torpedo bays? Etc., etc., etc. There are many, many, many details that you could really dive into in a proper shipbuilder. We could even add essentially made-up stuff. You know how there's always the saucer and then the 2 nacelles? The reason for that was a completely made-up rule, done by Roddenberry himself, actually, all the way back in TOS. And that rule has definitely been talked about a lot, I think is the most polite way I could put that. But imagine if in the game there's like a specific stat benefit for that, right? If you have the saucer and the 2 nacelles, you get X. I don't know what. You have to make up something. That's the point. But like maybe warp efficiency is better. Maybe it can use its dilithium fuel reserves for longer periods of time. Or maybe it just generates more energy or power, which makes it so the ship itself generates more power. So you have more energy to shunt off to its various systems. You get it. So you can make whatever ship you want to. But if you do certain configurations of ship stuff, you can actually you get bonuses, right? You get additional benefits. Now, if I was in charge, what I'd probably do is make those benefits also come with detriments. Make it a choice. You get a more stable warp field, but it also requires substantial reduction of armor and or efficiency of shields, right? Stuff like that.
Light's blessing to you. Melanora Aka.
Which might also help to explain things like Klingon ships, which tend to not have those kind of warp fields and are slower, but are much more battle-ready. Stuff like that, you know? Well, that is insane, Lord Hermot, so I'm afraid I'm going to have to kill you before we infect the others. I'll let chat handle this one. Go ahead and murder Lord Hermot, just however you want to. It's fine, I don't care. Okay.
Hey, how you doing?
Kingdom Hearts.
Be good.
Specifically Kingdom Hearts
Have a
2.
good one.
You want to buy a Stingtail eye drop before you go out? Great for reading at night and almost never cause blindness.
Anaria Shola. We will have justice.
Buying and selling is in my blood. The only honest merchants are Gilnean merchants.
And then she joins our garrison.
Cheers, mate.
That was the real benefit of this whole chain. They're just here so they can journey. Oh my god. I mean, I do legitimately disagree with you, Lord Haremont, but we've run into one of those philosophical questions. And I tend to immediately stop talking the moment we hit a philosophical question, because there's no debate to be had there, right? I have no evidence, and frankly, neither do you. So all we can do is disagree with each other. And the moment we reach the point where it's like, I think this, and you say, I think that, the conversation has ended. So I usually jokingly end the conversation, and we move on. Hi, Velen.
Master Velen, I have never led soldiers before. Are you sure?
You are capable of more than you know, Uriel. Now go. The Rangari follow your orders. Find the prisoners. Not all who wander are lost.
Thank you for coming, Arkinwig. There is much to be done.
The light will
I
guide
see 1,000 glimpses of the future, swimming in a chaotic blur. It is possible to focus my energies to see the true eventuality, the future most likely to come to pass. I'll need an oracle stone to focus my power, and I need these various items to do it.
Many depend on you.
You bring news?
Uriel leads my rangers on a search for the prisoners at the Shadowmoon village. The work is extremely dangerous, so I need you to carry out a contingency mission. Silene has mastered an illusion spell which will allow you to infiltrate Shazgul safely. Speak with her to disguise yourself and plant explosives. If anything goes wrong, set them off.
This too shall pass.
I'll get to that in a second. Yes, actually. Velen has been called the Prophet for a while, but we haven't really seen any of that. Probably because Velen himself has barely been a character. He's had, really, one cutscene so far in the entire game, and that was at the end of BC. Whoops. There we go. Sorry.
All prices here are reasonable. Seek the path.
Oh, it was horrible. My husband and I were fishing in the marsh. I fell asleep, and when I woke up, he'd been turned into a toad. I'm sure it wasn't one of those Shadowmoon orcs I hear so much about. He jumped into the waters before I could catch him. Will you help me find my lost love?
Safe journey.
Uh-huh.
Dionysaka.
Such a vigorous young lass. A spring in your step, a sparkle in your eye. When you get to my age, it's all aches and pains. Luckily, I have a recipe for an unguent which will soothe my joints. Would you be a dear and help an old woman out?
Be kind to those less fortunate.
Actually, yeah, I agree, Esmerastar, especially considering what's about to happen. I think I kind of prefer the spherical shields, J. Palmer. But, like, there's a specific reason from that, if that makes any sense. Which one, Bragon? So let me explain. In science fiction, there's usually 3 types of shielding when it comes to ships, right? Oh, Final Factory is black hole farming? Oh my god. This is your fault, Kira White Nose. I hope you know that. So you've got your... It throws up an energy barrier which prevents anything from reach its shields. That's your Star Trek shields. Vroom, right? Then you've got the kind of shields that are kind of based on real-life science, where it just kind of runs an energy current through the hull. This actually is what they do in Enterprise, although they present it terribly. But it is still true. It is the idea that they're using. What is with all these hydras? And I suddenly can't remember the other one. There's another type of shield. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. I actually think it could have worked if they presented it better, J. Palmer. If they didn't just literally treat it like shield, which is what they do. Anyways, so the armor augmentation shielding, which is what Star Wars uses too, by the way. It's neat and it's interesting and it works, but it's a very specific type of sci-fi. It's a different blend, flavor, whatever you want to call that. By contrast, Star Trek has always been presenting itself as a little bit higher sci-fi. And so having a literal bubble surrounding the ship that actually prevents things from even reaching the ship is a bit more interesting and, frankly, a bit more Star Trek. So I've always preferred the bubble for Star Trek-y stuff. If you're paying attention, the bubble wasn't even invented in TOS. It wasn't invented until TNG. The shields back in TOS and the movies are the old, reinforce the hull style. The perfect example of this is Star Trek II. They even show the shields popping up in a circle around the ship's model, following around it. And we see what happens when a ship with shields up is taking hits from a torpedo in Star Trek VI. It's just smashing into the hull. And in some cases through the hull. Now, TNG invented the bubble. Makes sense, though. Part of the point of TNG was to show how much time had moved forward. It is a good song, Magister. I remember this exact quest chain for the dumbest possible reason. I was leveling my priest here, and I had just gotten one of the high-end talents, and I realized that the high-end talents were really, really good. And I know that sounds like a weird way to put that, but it's true. It just kind of shocked me how good they were, because, honestly, the talents circa this era weren't super great, to be honest. I mean, they were fine. They were mostly just kind of whatevers. But the Shadow Priests got a couple of talents that actually acted as one of the things I love most about alternate leveling, which is they were mutators. They changed how you'd play the class. One of them essentially got rid of your dots and turned you into a Shadow Nuker. One of them made one of your dots last a minute and gave you some other synergies around it. And I forget the third thing. It was something about cycling dots, I want to say. Like, you'd burn dots, then you'd reapply them, and you'd burn dots, and then reapply them. And all three of those completely changed how you'd play the class. And I was just like, yes, this is cool. Why don't we have more of this? Oh, I do, J. Palmer, I do. I was actually doing raids in Warlords. Nothing fancy. Nothing past normal, but I was. I brought your toads.
Welcome. Browse at your leisure.
I'm sure one of these toads is my husband.
Remain vigilant.
I'll have to kiss each toad to break the spell. Hey, honey, I'm back. Oh, not again. Lola, I'm right here. I'm not a toad. For light's sake. I don't know. Seems suspicious. Maybe I should kiss a couple of toads, just to be sure. Look, I'm not here to kink shame, but what the hell's wrong with you? Alright, there we are. Hang on, let me squeeze all the juice out of these toads. Try not to think about that too much. I should probably kill that first. Excuse me. Actually, not that I'm aware of, J. Palmer. Given the fact that several quests in Legion and BFA all go to Outland, however, I'm going to assume, based on context clues, that we still had the ability to go through the Dark Portal and go back to Outland once the connection was severed. In fact, in lore, what would make most sense is the moment we destroy the connection on this end, the Dark Portal goes back to normal, back on Azeroth. Point in fact, so I mentioned how the timelines slowly dissolve once their connecting thread is severed. Well, us knocking out the Dark Portal on this end severed that thread. So I only mention it because, once again, I don't think any of the characters knew, or if they did, they weren't telling about it. But it means there's kind of an automatic timer on everything we're doing out here. It also could have made for an interesting campaign. Think about this for a second. Our goal here could have been, whoops, rather than to defeat the Iron Horde, which is our goal here, it could have been to just delay them sufficient until, you know, the timeline collapses. At which point they would not be a threat anymore. And of course, yeah, Garrosh and Hellscream would probably have realized what's going on. Like, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. Maybe they wouldn't have realized that their timeline's collapsing. I don't know. Like, there would have to be some way to exposit it so that they could actually understand what was going on. The biggest reason I'm pretty sure that nobody knew that the timeline was collapsing is no effort is ever made to create a permanent pipeline between the two timelines. Even though that is something we have the technology and magic to do. I have technically quit WoW many times, but that's not really what you're asking. Pausing WoW for a while before I come back to it isn't really quitting, is it?
You wish to buy? Trade? Favor the road traveled by few.
Okay. I'm ready for my disguise.
Let us speak. The strongest spirit will always triumph.
I am now Orc Woman. I like killing puppies. How am I doing?
Can I mount while doing this? Yes. Perfect. So how many times have I quit WoW? Wow, there's a lot of void energy pumping through here. That's unusual. The Iron Horde needs these supplies faster, peons. Oh, jeez. Okay, okay. Way too many void wolves here. To the air, to the air. Look at that roast. I better Iron Horde guess I've never tasted anything like it. I think this is a game runt. Work harder. There's also Iron Horde propaganda, like, everywhere. Of course I have Europe. I've even made them from scratch. I might as well put that on the bar for right now. I've only quit WoW twice. I had to really think about that for a second. Sorry for the delay. The first time I quit WoW, try to be shocked, was in vanilla. I was one of the last of my friends to quit WoW in vanilla. But, yeah, it was WoW vanilla. I don't really have anything to add to that. The second time was in Shadowlands. Shadowlands, we quit and honestly had no plans to come back. So I should talk about what's going on here. This is actually a brilliant little bit of exposition. As we're going through here, we're finally starting to see a little bit of things from the Shadowmoon's perspective. They are cooking food for the Iron Horde people who are here. They are trying to produce resources for them. They specifically talk about they need to secure the future of the Shadowmoon because they don't have any real power, apparently, for themselves. Over here you could see several Iron Horde are actually watching a ritual to burn arcane ruins out of void into something. I'm sure that won't come up later. Over here, you see that? I nearly took my head off. Rangari spy in our village. Were you sleeping on duty again? No. The Shadowmoon are fascinating, I think is the word I want to use. We're already starting to see that things are a little bit more complex than we thought at first. There's Ner'zhul. And 2 Rangari. And an Iron Horde commander.
Your security is lax, chieftain. I caught these Rangari spies within your gates.
They are too late. The prisoners are already on their way to Anguish Fortress.
Their blood will summon forth the Dark Star and make me as a guard among the Iron Horde. The war chief honors deeds, not words, Shadowcaster. Just be ready when our ships arrive at Karabor.
Probably Ren 36, but I don't remember off the top.